People there dry docking their boats. Some of them are bringing them into harbor in advance. And Jimena, we also have a lot of tourists that have already evacuated some of these areas, but there are still some locals that are sticking around behind. For more on what's happening with this hurricane and the rest of the tropics, here's Carl.
Well, it's still a very dangerous storm, and it's going to produce an awful lot of surf there in the Cabos area, but we do think that the worst of the wind is probably going to slide off to the west of Cabo San Lucas and also La Paz. So here are the latest stats for you. 11 a.m. advisory. It is moving to the north-northwest at 12 miles an hour. Winds of 145 miles an hour. That's a Category 4 hurricane. It's been undergoing some fluctuation in intensity. There was an eye wall replacement cycle here. You'll notice that there was much less in the way of that deep purple color, those very cold cloud tops. So certainly a bit of a weakening trend here. It has been pretty far off to the west-southwest of the southern tip of the Baja and Cabo San Lucas. So this is great news. Looks like most of the hurricane force wind is going to be offshore relative to Cabo San Lucas. Cabo San Lucas is right there. La Paz is right here. Hurricane force wind extending out about 50 miles from the center. So you find the center right here. You're talking about a distance of probably about that, right in there. And so it looks like that's going to be largely offshore, at least as it moves to the west of Cabo San Lucas. But the tropical storm force winds extend out 140 miles to the center. So they are going to get wind. They're certainly going to see very heavy rain, tremendous surf, battering the coast there. That's going to go on for a while, and coastal flooding is a possibility as well. It's not going to be an easy time in Cabo San Lucas, but it could have been worse, as the center of the storm comes right down through the middle of Cabo San Lucas. It will continue up towards the north-northwest here. We're not exactly sure whether or not it's going to make a landfall later today or early tomorrow. It depends on where exactly it moves in. You can see the difficulty here because of the nature of the coastline relative to that forward motion. There are smaller fishing villages in here, and they're much less populated relative to Cabo and La Paz, but they are areas where people do live, and areas that are not fortified all that particularly well, not a lot of infrastructure. And so some areas are going to be hit very, very hard by this hurricane. It may very well be a major hurricane as it begins to brush the coastline there. Again, the surf is going to be tremendous. The rain could be tremendous. And a big part of that is the fact that it's going to slow down. If you look at the time frame here, we're going through tomorrow, and it's really starting to move in. Then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it's only made it up to the northern part of the Baja Peninsula or into Southern California. That means as it slows down, we're talking about tremendous amounts of rain being dumped on mountainous terrain, and that is almost certainly going to be some major flooding in some parts of Baja California. If there's any good news, it is that, again, it's not a highly populated area, but there are villages here, and some of those villages are going to be devastated by the storm in the next couple of days, unfortunately. I want to show you the advisories very quickly. Hurricane warning now in effect in the southern part of the Baja Peninsula. Hurricane watch in effect a little bit farther northward. Now, as we turn our attention to the Atlantic, we've been watching this thing for a couple of days, and we really haven't seen much from it, at least not officially. It looks pretty good on satellite. Actually, the problem is that the low-level center has been away from that big ball of convection. It may be that it develops a new low-level center very close to the center of this convection here. That is often something that happens. Outflow looks pretty good. There's a lot of convection that has been persistent. Hurricane hunters are going to fly into this thing. We may be talking about a new TV, and we may be talking about Aragon coming up here in the next couple of hours, and it's just moving to the north of the lesser end coast.